CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.
Hello everyone, welcome to CollabTalk, a new series by Collaborative ABA Services that provides information and resources about autism and everything in between. I am Alicia, the founder of Collaborative ABA Services, and I'm here with some of our amazing team members. Team?
My name's Katie, I'm an occupational therapist.
I'm Bree, I'm a BCBA.
I'm Meg, I'm a registered behavior technician and newly licensed social worker.
Hey team. So today we're looking at an interdisciplinary approach to treatment, as we discussed in our previous episode that autism treatment is not a one-size-fits-all approach. An interdisciplinary approach is always needed, as you also need a team of experts like speech therapists, occupational therapy, doctors, and behavior specialists. We all work together to support the child instead of working separately. We share ideas, we create a coordinated plan that looks at the whole child, and this is a team-based care that helps make sure that the child gets the right support and services that they need in every area, from communication to behavior, daily living skills, and health. Please note that the episode today is not intended to critique or endorse any specific providers. Our goal is to simply educate and empower the community by increasing awareness and understanding of ABA treatment approaches. So team, let's get started. So as we know, there's different treatment approaches to autism, and some of the common treatments for autism include applied behavior analysis, or what we know as ABA. So, Brie, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so it's an evidence-based treatment based on the principles of science and behavior. And it's a way to teach new skills and, try to change or adapt some of those behaviors so they're more adequate to the child's learning.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Another common treatment for an individual with autism spectrum disorder is physical therapy. And as we know, physical therapy focuses on improving overall motor development, such as the posture, gross movement, and balance. And interestingly, a lot of times when we are looking at the diagnosis of autism, some of the concerns that parents have is motor difficulties in early development.
I think another thing too that's pretty common with autism is a lot of sensory-based toe walking, and so a lot of children will get referred for physical therapy for toe walking.
Good to know. The next area is occupational therapy. Katie, I'll let you talk more about that one.
So occupational therapy is focused on improving independence and skills across different settings. So occupation, by definition, is your ability to occupy your time. So it can include self-care skills, independence in daily living, sensory processing, which is a big one with children with autism. And then also a lot of times we're looking at independence with fine motor, gross motor skills, so a lot of those pre-academic things to get kids ready for kindergarten, handwriting, really kind of anything that improves or focuses on independence and making the child more self-sufficient from a personal perspective.
Thanks. So another common treatment for individuals with autism is actually speech therapy. And speech therapy, it focuses on improving communication and language skills. As we know, a lot of kids on the autism spectrum may have deficits in language development, especially during early childhood. So that's, one important therapy that is also common. Another common therapy that a lot of people may not know about is music and art therapy. So music and art therapy focuses on helping with self-expression, anxiety, and also emotional regulation through the arts of music and art, actually.
Yeah. It kind of is similar to speech therapy where it works on expression and communication, because by definition, I always describe to families that autism is a social emotional deficit, so it's impacting their ability to communicate, their ability to regulate their emotions, among other parts of the developmental spectrum. So I think that speech therapy is great for the verbal and communicative expression, but art therapy is great for emotions and feelings and kind of being able to express themselves in other ways too.
Next one, animal therapy, is another common treatment that people may not be familiar with. And with animal therapy, the therapy really focuses on increasing positive social behaviors, coping, and communication skills, but they're using animals to do that, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
The next common treatment for autism is social skills instruction. So, Meg, I'm going to let you take it away as our new social worker.
So with social skills instruction, it teaches individuals to navigate social situations. It can be used in group settings or individually. It helps them navigate social situations, in the community, at home, school. And with social work, it really takes a holistic approach considering the person and environment, which considers not just the behaviors, but the settings and individuals in that environment, and also consider things like hardship, trauma, any sort of impacts on the individual that might be causing the behaviors.
And kind of helping support them, right?
Yeah.
Like I think
Yes,
too,
right.
with kids with autism, or really anybody with autism, those social pieces, it's not innate. It's not something that just kind of comes by learning or
Right.
imitation. It
Right.
comes by instruction. So having those groups to teach them some of those concrete skills is really important.
Right.
Right.
And to practice them in like the real natural environment of
Yeah.
setting up like a little social group.
Right, and things like planning, other executive functioning skills that kind of go across the disciplines, and like emotional regulation, of
Yeah.
course, that's taught
Yeah.
across the disciplines as well, like problem solving.
Executive functioning skills, which can be addressed by anybody, but it's a great way to kind of have that in a structured setting as well.
So you all bring up a good point. And Meg, you kind of bring up the idea of looking at like the different variables from like a social work perspective, which leads me to the next section of our talk today, is looking at, a multidisciplinary, or should I say interdisciplinary team approach to treatment, because everyone is working together towards a common goal. And when we're looking at autism, we see like the different treatments that are out there, but I think it's very important for providers and also families to know that it's very important for everyone to work together, because we want to look at the child holistically and looking at the whole child. And as we know, with autism, the child can look different as far as symptoms wise, right? Each child with autism is not the same, but they have different symptoms. But some of the characteristics of diagnosing autism is deficits in language and communication, right? And then we have those social deficits and those restricted and repetitive behaviors, right? So when we're looking at someone with autism and they have limitations in those communication skills, right? And I think that's where like the speech therapy comes in. And then we have like the deficits in those social skills, and I think that's where like the social skills comes in. And then we have those like restricted repetitive behaviors where, you have a kid that might have difficulty with loud noises, or you have a kid that, has difficulty with certain textures, right? Or they might be a picky eater. And I think that's where the OT part comes in. And a lot of times when we're working with the kid, as a team, I honestly can say, I might say, if there's a kid that has like some sensory needs, I might say, Katie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a team member. And I find that, that interdisciplinary team approach is very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that with autism, it's a multifaceted diagnosis. It's not just one thing. So I think that having individual supports and teams and kind of different providers across the list that we've talked about is important, because like if you need sensory support, OT really is the best place to go.
Right.
If you need social skills support, social work is really the best place to go. If you need behavior, ABA is really the best place to go.
Right.
But those things in isolation don't help support the whole child.
Right.
Like you need to have individuals or professionals of different disciplines to help treat that, but you need us all to work together to communicate, because I, in isolation, can't address all of the different facets of a child with autism.
Right.
And I think too, I didn't mention it earlier, and we didn't talk about this, but I also think that medical providers, like as far as like a pediatrician or developmental pediatrician, also need to be part of that team, because they are the primary contacts, for the kiddos, especially, if the child is nonverbal and they can't communicate.
Right.
And like we're noticing during our sessions, like, hey, this kid is more aggressive than usual, or there's some unusual behaviors. It's kind of good to have that medical professional and have that collaboration with them, because they can actually support the medical side of things, from a perspective of a team.
Right, because a lot of time with the behaviors we want to, roll out medical issues first.
Right, yeah.
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 And I think it's important, like you had said, like, there's some sensory needs. Let me reach out to Katie. But the other thing is, like, we don't know everything about OT, right? That's not our profession, right? That's Katie's. So it's nice to like be able to revert to the professional who is really educated and has a background in that, so that way the child's getting like the best care possible.
And I also think the more that you collaborate with other professionals, I know for me personally, the more that I've learned about ABA, the more I've learned about social work, the more I am knowledgeable about it. So if a parent comes to me with a question or concern, I'm like, oh, I know that can be, hey, have you thought about ABA? Hey, have you thought about a social skills group? Like, it helps me become a more balanced provider because I'm able to better understand what's available for my families, and then I can refer them.
Right. Speaking of referrals, I was thinking about that too with social work. It's a good resource for resource allocation, kind of helping families and people navigate the system. If you don't have a service company like Collaborative that has an interdisciplinary team where you can find the different providers and helping with like communication and referral processes and things like that.
Yeah.
Good points. So I think today we raised, a good topic in regards to the importance of, working together as a team and looking at, the whole child from an interdisciplinary approach. Are there any other key takeaways that we may have not mentioned today that you guys feel like parents or other care providers should know?
I think one thing is, yes, some providers and companies do maybe offer all the professions at one location, which is, of course, extremely helpful and makes that collaboration a little bit easier, but it's still possible with professionals at different things. Maybe you have speech at a private practice, you get ABA from another place. It's still possible for everyone to collaborate and look at the whole child, which I think is still important.
Right, and not just the clinical team, I think with the school too. It's important for everybody to sort of have their hands in the pot on the child's progress.
And to your point, Brie, about being in different facilities or being in different places, I really encourage families to tell your providers. I've had families before say, oh, they get speech. Do you want to talk to them? I'm like, yes, please. That would be fabulous. So I think knowing that as providers, we want to be connected. We want to know what other people are doing to help support the child so we can all be on the same page.
And I think once everyone is on the same page, that also leads to better progress in helping that child reach their full potential, because now it's a wraparound or true wraparound care for the child and family, and it also creates a balance. Any other items, or you kind of feel like we kind of talked about everything?
I think just don't be hesitant to ask your provider to communicate with your other provider, because as providers, I actually love it, like Katie mentioned as well. It's something that honestly makes my job easier because I have another professional to kind of lean on to collaborate with, so never hesitate to ask.
It's called the Right of Information form.
Great points today. So thank you for tuning into this episode of CollabTalk. If you found it valuable, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hit the bell.
Ding, ding.
So you'll never miss an episode. Got thoughts or questions? Drop them in our comment section. We love to hear from you. Until next time, let's keep this conversation going. To learn more about Collaborative ABA Services, check out our website at collaborativeabaservices.com, and also our additional social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and
TikTok.
TikTok. Thank you. Bye.
CollabTalk is a copyright of Collaborative ABA Services, making a difference in children's lives.